Hello, and welcome back to another video on this channel. So as you can see, it is another How Would I Judge video, and this time we are going down under. This franchise is honestly one of the weaker ones, but Season 4 is, my opinion, pretty decent. Let's get into it. Alright, so in the first episode they were put into pairs, and had to present two looks on the runway. The judges had to decide who wore it better, and so I am going to do the same here. So one queen from each pair is going to be in the top. Lazy Susan originally ended up winning the challenge, and literally no one even came close. She ate, she chewed, she swallowed. Both of her looks were absolutely gorgeous, very deserved win. Olivia did fine in my opinion. I actually thought her second look was a bit better than the judges were saying. I do agree with her placing low here. Between Brenda and Karna, Brenda definitely wore it better. Unfortunately, Karna is still going to be lip-syncing against Lucina. Speaking of Lucina, she definitely did struggle the most in this challenge. I did not like any of her looks. I mean, she looked really cool in that blue one, however it literally looked like a lip-sync outfit. That means Mandy Mubs, who is paired with Lucina, is gonna place high. Between Max and Freya, originally it was a tie between them. I do agree that both of them did good, but in my opinion Max wore it better, so she is going to be high and Freya safe. Lastly, Vibe versus Nikita. It was also a tie, but for me, Vibe wore it better, which means she is high and Nikita safe. So, Karna and Lucina lip-synced to Rush and no one went home. Do I think this was double Shantae worthy? No, but I guess no one was meant to go home in the very first episode, so they are both gonna stay. I do think Karna Ford won that lip sync though. Now it's time for the girl groups. Lazy Susan yet again won the challenge, but I decided to give the win to Brenda Breast. They both absolutely killed it in the challenge. Lazy Susan's runway look was breathtaking, but I agree with Mandy. I don't think it fits the category. Vibe was originally high, which I do agree with. Freya Armani was low, and I did not change it, but it was by default because the clear bottom two from this challenge were Lucina and Olivia. This lip sync was, in my opinion, better than the first one. Both of them did good, but I agree with Lucina taking the win, which means Olivia Dreams is still going to be the pork chop of the season. Episode 3 was the Snatch game, and it was not good honestly. I mean, 4 queens did good, 1 queen did fine, and 4 queens flopped. Originally Brenda Breast won, and they made it seem like it was between her and Mandy, but the queen who I think deserved to win here was Vibe. For me, her Julia Child was just the funniest, and her runway look was also good, so she is gonna win, and Brenda is gonna place high alongside Mandy. Lucina, Lazy, and Freya were safe, but I decided to put Freya low because she literally didn't get a single laugh and was saved probably because her runway look was really good. So Max, Karna, and Nikita were all in the bottom originally, and I also decided to change that. I don't think Max was as bad as they were trying to convince us. She definitely did the best out of the bottom 3, and her runway look I also really liked, so in this timeline only Nikita and Karna are going to be lip-syncing. Nikita Iman did do a better job in this lip-sync, which means Karna Ford is still going to go home this episode. Just before we move on, I think Karna Ford had one of the best entrance lines in history. I laughed out loud when she said, "What's 2 plus 2? Foreskin." Now it's time for the design challenge, and literally everybody knocked it out of the park. I was truly impressed. Mandy won this challenge, which I do think was correct. Arguably Nikita also could have won, but I kept Mandy as the winner. Vibe is also going to stay high. Lazy and Max are still going to be safe, and as for the bottoms, Freya Armani did struggle, and if not Mandy's help, her garment would look worse. I think there were some fit issues going on, and her bottom placement was deserved. Lucina ended up in the bottom wearing this. I mean, do you really think that's fair? This is very well constructed, and I think it was her best performance in the season, but they were scared to put Brenda in the bottom, because Freya would probably outperform her. As you can see, I didn't even put Lucina as low, because in my opinion no one should be low here. Lucina is going to be safe, which means we have the first change in the elimination order. Brenda has much better track record than Freya. However, Freya did such a good job in that lip sync, and I don't think Brenda would do better. So she is going to go home one episode earlier than originally. As we saw, Freya was an underdog, and her sending Brenda Breast home here would be totally unexpected and good for her storyline. Sending one of the frontrunners home, and then slaying the second half of the season. This kind of reminds me of Acid versus Naomi situation. Anyways, the next episode was the makeover. Both Vibe and Nikita ended up winning, but I completely disagree with that. Nikita hands down should have won it on her own. She clearly did the best that week. Vibe and Freya are going to be in the top, and originally in the bottom two we had Brenda and Max. Brenda is not here anymore, and I don't really know how well Lucina would do in this challenge, but I don't see her doing better than Mandy, who is low. So, I decided to put her in the bottom with Max. As we know, Max is a really good lip syncer, and in this scenario it's her first bottom two placement and Lucina's third. There's no way Lucina would survive this lip sync, which means she is eliminated, but she made it a bit further than in the original timeline. Next we had the acting challenge, and I didn't change a single placement in this episode. I agree with absolutely everything. Honestly, if Freya Armani had a better runway, she would for sure snatch the win, but unfortunately it had nothing to do with the category. Lazy Susan is still gonna win, Mandy is gonna stay safe, and in the bottom three we have Nikita, Vibe, and Max. Vibe is saved, which means it's down to Max and Nikita. I think Max was a bit defeated at this point, but in this scenario she at least has a bit better track record than originally. Max is still gonna place 6, and it is time for the roast. Here I think the judging was also really fair. Vibe did the best, and I think everyone knew that it was her challenge to win. Freya and Lazy were also really funny, and I completely agree with Freya's critique about looking in the cards too much. But it was a really strong night for both of them, so they're going to be high, which leaves Mandy and Nikita in the bottom two. They were the weakest of the group, so I totally agree. Mandy destroyed Nikita in this lip sync, which means she is going to the finale, and Nikita Iman has to sashay away. So, we have the same top 4 as it was originally. Freya, Lazy, Mandy, and Vibe really deserve to be in the finale, and I think all 4 of them did such a good job in that finale performance. Originally, Freya Armani got cut before the lip sync for the crown, however, I am going to cut 2 queens. Obviously, I'm taking into consideration their performance throughout the season, not only from this episode. But honestly, if only that performance mattered, I would put Freya and Mandy in the top 2. But after watching episode 2, I knew that Lazy Susan and Vibe are going to be in the final 2, and Lazy is going to win the season. It ended up being a top 3, and Mandy Mubs also lip-synced for the crown, which I totally didn't mind, since she was one of my favorite queens from this season. But okay, taking it all into consideration, I think that Vibe and Lazy were the correct top 2 of the season. That means we have to say goodbye to Mandy Mubs and Freya Armani. Now it is time for the lip sync for the crown. The lip sync song was Came Here for Love. The winner of Drag Race Down Under Season 4 is Lazy Susan. I'm not gonna lie, she was such a predictable winner, but I was still happy when she won. She killed this season, and I would love to see her return for all winners too. She was also the trade of the season in my opinion. Literally all season long I was simping to her. Congratulations to Lazy Susan. And what do you think? Did you enjoy watching Drag Race Down Under Season 4? Do you agree with the changes I made? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.